So, this podcast has been divided into 3 parts, and then there will be a fun rapid fire in the end. First part is about DDP, obviously. Second part is going to be a little bit about self reflection. And the third part is going to be some therapy for everyone. Yeah, and the kind of questions I'm asking, um, I'm not going to ask about what was the inspiration for DDP and what you went through in your personal life and your journey so far. Like all that, I think you've talked about. I'm going to touch on some other things, which very specific things, which I've wondered personally. Being with you on a very at such a close level, I also feel like I know how you think now. So these questions are going to like prod that side. Okay, so first question. When you're undertaking a project as huge as this, what is the biggest lesson you've learned? And I've seen the total runtime, and it's literally twice of Salgira and Chandrakalayan. So, how has that transformed you or made you grow as a musician?
Well, I really think that these long projects are a metaphor for life in a lot of ways. It's like starting a relationship or committing to maybe a person, maybe a thing. A lot of middle class families have an ambition to buy a house, to buy a car, and they have to literally work their entire lives to achieve that. And I have seen my father when he bought his dream car, the happiness that it got him, and the amount of years it took for him to get to that stage. So it's kind of like that. You start off with a vision, you start off with a dream that you want to make this album, and then you have to do a lot of mental planning. And let's be honest, you need money for these projects. It's not just like, if you want to bring it to that studio quality, you need money and you need good people who can help you achieve that. So you have to do all of that planning before you start these projects. So in general, like working on all these albums, Salgira, Chandrakalai, Dukh, Peeda, has just taught me how to manage my resources well and understand my limitations. And then maybe just push the limitations by a little bit. So it is a very good process for me to reflect on where I stand, what my capabilities are, and how further can I push them.
In general, which layer has been the hardest for you to compose and which layer has been the easiest?
So this album has been a lot about visualizing. When I wrote this album, I just had an acoustic guitar. I think the most difficult challenge for me was to visualize the ambience of the album, because I literally had to just imagine those things when I was, writing these songs on the guitar. Like, how is the final version going to sound like? This particular album had some parts that were just very difficult for me to visualize. And all I had was a feeling. Like, there's this part in one of the songs which is about an adventure. It's like about a travel. So how do you depict that through music? So that has been the hardest part for me working on this album. The easiest part has been, again, it's not easy, but I would say the most fun and the least taxing, the guitar solos. For this album has about 6 guitar solos, out of which only 2 were written. All the other 4 solos are just mostly improvised stuff that I literally recorded in these last 2 days. I didn't even prepare anything. I didn't even know what I'm gonna play. Just whatever I felt, I played.
When making the promo video itself, were there any notable fun moments that happened during the making of that video? And which parts of acting, because you've also acted in the video, right? So which parts did you enjoy the most, and which parts were also like the most intense for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. The trailer, of course, is a very important part of this album. Even though the soundtrack of the trailer isn't there in the album, but it really sets up the mood. And that trailer is very important to really let people know what this is about. And so, of course, like Manish, Dhruv, and I were involved in the shooting of this. Manish being the director and the screenplay writer, and Dhruv was there to assist with the camera. So, of course, there were a lot of fun parts. Um, like, in a lot of serious scenes in the trailer, we were just having a lot of fun. And just if you see the behind the scenes at some point later, you will see that immediately as soon as the scene cut, I probably just burst into a smile, or I'm just like, oh my god, like, it's what's going on. And so it was fun, but at the same time, there were a few really intense moments. Like, there's a shot of me running very fast, and Manish wanted a specific way to capture that moment. Basically, Dhruv was in the trunk of the car, in the boot of the car with the boot open. He had the camera in his hand, and I was following the car. So he's like tracking me running towards the car. So for the first 3-4 takes, Dhruv had some problem using the gimbal. He had a gimbal holding the camera, and it wasn't working. And Manish was like, "No, we have to do this again." Now, basically, the thing is, I am sprinting in that scene, and my health, is not what it used to be last year. So for me to like really do that intense sprint like 5-6 times, and it was getting hotter. I think it was 10 or 11 a.m. by the time we reached that scene. I was sweating. I was just very tired. And then we just like had to do reshoot after reshoot because just couldn't get that effect that we wanted, that Manish had in his mind. And I think after the 7th take, I was getting a little irritated. Like, of course, it's my video. Of course, I want to give the best shot. But I was kind of losing it. Like, why can't you idiots get this right? And but at the same time, I knew like they are doing this for the video, and we have to get the best take out. And then I could see both of them were also pretty apologetic towards you because I was just dying. I had stopped saying anything. I was just quiet. Like, after the take, Manish just would look very scarily at me like, we have to, sorry bro, we have to do another take. I like just, I quietly went back to my spot. So the 10th or the 11th take, the final take, is what made the final cut. And the expression you see on my face, like I'm literally gasping for breath, and I'm just very tired and kind of angry. That's exactly what we wanted for the scene. But that's all real, and it's kind of directed towards these two poor guys who were just trying their best. So I remember that as the most intense moment of the shoot.
Okay, we'll move on to part 2 now. So, if not the guitar, which you say is an extension of yourself, like express your thoughts and your emotions and everything, which other instrument would be your go to?
I think other than guitar, I look at all instruments as really useful accessories to my music. And depending on the song and the vibe I'm going for, I have that intimate moment with all these instruments. So it could be the violin in some cases. It could be the piano in some cases. Even the tabla. I played tabla in a section of this album. So guitar has a special place because of the amount of time I've spent with it. Violin also at some point because I used to play the violin a lot. But then I, lost a little touch with it. But again, like for this album, when I had to go back to the violin and I spent some time with it, it was like a bonding moment, like meeting an old friend after a very long time. And I had a very nice recording session with the violin. And yeah, I think I don't have like a number 2, number 3 instrument. Like all instruments are number 2 after guitar.
So, hypothetically, if you had a child and the child said that they wanted to be a full-time musician, what would you say to them?
भाग यहाँ से. Fuck. Yeah, that really is a hypothetical question. It's so difficult to think about it. I would, I would have a conversation for sure. Because again, I want to be a musician is a very vague thing. What kind of a musician? A session artist? Like, do you want to get very good at an instrument and play for other people? Do you want to join a band? Do you want to become a producer, a song? Like, it's just, so a conversation is of course like needed if child says that they want to do music. And then depending on that answer, of course, like I wouldn't want to stop them from pursuing that, but depending on, like, based on my experience and based on what that child really wants to do, I will make sure that they have a realistic view of what is to, what they can expect. But yeah, like, honestly, if it were just up to me, I would not ask someone to be a full-time musician. I wouldn't do that. But again, like, it's not my job to stop someone from doing that. Because the thing is, you can be a great musician, and it's a very nice profession to have. Like, you're getting paid to make music, but it's not, as good as it sounds. That getting money part isn't just about making good music. It's about reshaping your entire life in a way that it's lucrative. You only get money if it's viable for a lot of businesses. So that's not for everybody.
Okay, this I've just been curious about. Have you ever Googled yourself? And were you happy, disappointed, shocked?
I was disappointed because there were some South Indian restaurants called Banana Leaf. That were the top 3 results. And there is some Belief Cosmetics that also beat me. I was probably the 5th one, so. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a little disappointed.
Okay. No, but 5 is not a bad number.
It's
for
not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Being beaten by cosmetics kind of felt bad.
Okay. And okay, so that leads to another important question. How do you tell yourself that, I mean, numbers do matter, right? But how do you keep your head in place and not get disappointed? And how do you beat the numbers game?
Truth be told, I don't beat the game. And I do get disappointed a lot. It does play on my mind, especially when you work so hard on a project. And then an artist is making a song, they know, oh my god, this is my best work ever. But it's not necessary that might be the most popular song. So that is also a very tough internal battle to overcome. So I've been through that. I still go through that. I sometimes... so right now I've uninstalled the Spotify for Artist app, which tells you the detailed numbers and everything. But when I used to regularly see it, I used to get disappointed looking at the numbers going down. There is no answer to, how do I overcome that. It's just about making myself reassured and making myself think about the things that are actually working for me. And I keep struggling with it, but there are still some things that I have that are really very dear to me. That's whatever, these people who listen to my songs and they send me messages. I've met them, they really look up to me. So it kind of feels unfair to be disappointed about numbers when you have real people look up to you. Maybe, the quantity of these people is less, but it still doesn't take away the worth from that one person, right? It's just a very shallow way of thinking if I'm looking for more audience, bigger, fame or whatever. But even if one person is giving their full heart and attention to me, I think I would have failed as a human being if I, ignore that and just be on the quest for more.
I was going to say, how many artists can proudly say that in every show they've gotten flowers or virtual flower or how many people can say that, oh, one of their fans have gotten them home cooked food for dinner? You've gotten a diary as well, so many letters written. All these things tell me that the way you've built your niche, it's quality over quantity. Final question for this part. If you could go 5 years back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
Wow. So exactly 5 years back in November 2019, I bought my first guitar, which essentially started the belief journey. So actually, I wouldn't say anything at all. Like what I did 5 years back is like that led to me being here. All I would say is just pay more attention to what music makes you feel. You know, like there have been times where I got distracted. I started thinking about other people more when I was making music. So just like that little thing, like just pay even more attention to what music makes you feel.
And what about in times of self doubt?
It's always going to be there. If you think life is gonna get easy at some point, it's not. But the only thing that you really take with you is your experience. Sometimes you just have to learn some things the hard way. Like for me personally, like my last 4 or 5 years have been a little roller coaster of a ride. I've seen the lowest of me. I've seen like really happy times. But in some way, like I feel that I've appreciated these happy times more because of the low times.
Okay, some therapy for everyone. So, the industry in general is known to be full of selfish, fickle people who are difficult to deal with. What's the one rule you swear by that has kept you going and gotten you this far in your game?
I mean, I give the benefit of doubt to everybody that I talk to. Like I reply to all messages, I talk to everybody. So the first thing I assume is the other person is, like a decent human being. But maybe, after the first 2-3 messages, you find out how shallow or what the actual intention of the other person is. As soon as I sense that there is, something off or anything, like I tend to like not reply or just I don't talk with them. And even like in the artist circle, there are a lot of people who are not there truly for the music but just for fame, and they're using each other and their ethics are all over the place. They don't do things the right way. I've of course been involved with a lot of people like that because I didn't know better, and I again learned a lot of things the hard way. So my rule is like I totally avoid such people. I'm not here to do business. I'm not here to earn money. I really want to make genuine music. And I found out that, if you meet the right people, your music also thrives. So it's all about finding right people in the right mindset to make good music. Anything else, I will just totally discard. I will not think from any other perspective like, oh, that person is, like good for me business wise. And so for anybody else who's going through that, like you need to have a backbone to face the consequences. If you're in this truly for the money or the hustle or whatever, then yeah, you might have to make some tough choices. You might have to kiss the ass of someone that you really don't like and things like that. But if you are okay doing that, go for it. Like I'm nobody to tell you otherwise. But I can tell you one thing, that these things do come to bite you back at some point. And basically it's very difficult to live with a conscience once you know that you've done something that you really did not want to do.
You are a creative person in general. So, if not music, what other creative form of expression would you have taken up as a serious side mission in your life?
I love making videos. Even for the trailer, like of course I had a dedicated director and a director of photography and everything. But like I was very much involved in that process. So I feel like I also have a very interesting vision about life. I observe these angles and I observe these little details. I feel like I want to bring that angle to, other people. I want to get it to a screen where people can look at the world through my eyes. So if not music, I would take up video making more seriously.
And then the last question for this part. What advice do you have for young balding men?
Ouch. Uh, See, this is a journey. Whatever advice I give, there is a bit of pain that you have to go through. Initially, it'll be denial. You'll try to cover up your little spot. You'll be like, oh, this thinning is normal. It's not balding, whatever. Just woke up with a bad hair day, whatever. That denial will soon turn into panic. You'll be like, oh no, I mean, like, there is a spot now. I can't, deny this anymore. That panic soon gets, like, converted into depression. And then you're like, why the fuck is my hair falling off? And then that depression causes more hair to fall off. Then that depression gets converted into acceptance. Like, fine, this is what I have to deal with. Some people, go for whatever, like remedies, like transplants and medicines or whatever. I feel like if your genetics, have dictated that your hair is gonna fall, you can just probably avoid it. Transplants also work for some people, but if the world's richest man is bald, you can probably assume that it doesn't work for everybody. And then after the acceptance, there is one more stage where you realize that that hair is just probably like what, 5% of your physical appearance. Like, it's something that strikes a first impression, but there is still a lot to work on in your body. And I think confidence triumphs above everything else. And so if you don't let this thing get to your head, no puns intended, and if you really work your way out of it, build your persona, embrace it, people's eventually start to forget about your head. Like, it's really not anybody's concern, because the number of times you look at yourself, nobody else does. And I've also kind of been this journey, and it started with Chandrakalai. Like, the name of the album is also a wordplay on my balding head. And for Natuti Sahi, which was the single from the album art has me in that balding look for the first time. And I really just embraced it. I'm like, I don't want to hide this. I don't want to always wear a cap when I go out. I want to be me, and I want to love me for who I am. And so that's worked for me. Now, people really love my look. It has become the belief look. If I've seen some of my listeners, when they get a haircut, they post a story, they're like, aaj main belief ban gaya. It's so funny. But it makes me feel good. A lot of people have also messaged me about, their balding problems. They're like, belief, main kya karu? I'm like, I don't know. I'm also with you in the same boat. But I guess just accept it. There are some things that you're going to find out the hard way. But it's part of the life.
And one more thing I remember is you had told me, okay, that one thing is not in your control, but there are so many other aspects in your control. Yeah. So focus on that and see how you can make yourself better in every other way, which I've seen that you have done. So it works. Time for the fun rapid fire. There are 10 questions, and these are not always going to be easy, but try to answer in 1 to 5 words. Okay, the first one. The best new music composer in the indie scene you personally know?
Oh, Barney and Company. Vibhu, basically.
Yeah, I attest. Yeah. Okay. And then the best guitarist you personally know?
Darzi.
Choose one. You can play forever every other instrument except the electric guitar, or play the electric guitar for only 5 years of your life.
Fuck. Play only the electric guitar for 5 years.
Okay. One music genre you've never tried but want to.
Proper jazz. Proper jazz. I've made jazz music, but like just on the outside, you know. But I want to get deep into jazz.
Okay. Best show of the tour as per your experience.
It's a tie between Chandigarh and Vadodara. But I guess Chandigarh just beats Vadodara by 0.5% because of the sound. In Vadodara, we performed on a terrace with our own amplifier. In Chandigarh, we had a very good sound system. So, Chandigarh.
Okay. One city anywhere in the world you really want to do a show in. And let's say your audience is somehow able to travel or be present there. Which city would you pick anywhere in the world?
That's a good question. I'm just envisioning something with a very nice nature backdrop. That could be, I don't know. Maybe somewhere in Europe. Bali, yeah. Like even in India, like there's no dearth of amazing places, you know, like Himachal and all. Yeah, but like truly what I really want to say is my music is meant to be experienced in that openness. Just doing a show on my chat was, you know, such a good experience for a lot of people. So it could be any place, but just like right in the middle of nature.
Your most underrated song and the most overrated song, according to you.
Overrated though is that stupid.
I knew it.
Everybody knows. Yeah.
Not exactly a song anymore.
Which is not a song anymore. Yeah. The true version of that song is gonna be that's gonna do justice. The most underrated is my very first release on Spotify. My EP called Turning Over a New Leaf. That has these 3 songs, Zaruri, Rasta and Main Aur Tu. Rasta is one of my favorite compositions, you know, I've ever done. And same is with Main Aur Tu and Zaruri. All those 3 songs are like just, I listen to them and it's very difficult for me to like go back into that headspace and be like, oh wow, how did I even make this? So nobody knows about these 3 songs. Definitely my underrated releases.
Okay, this is going to be a hard one. What is your favorite song of this upcoming album, DDP?
Oh shit. How do I even answer that? Samudri Chidiya. Yeah. I won't say why. Like, I guess when you listen to it, you'll know.
Yeah, I thought that would be your answer. Okay, that's it. We conclude.
That was so much fun.
I'm glad.
I had a good time.
I'm glad. I don't want to repeat questions, so.
Those were good questions.
Okay.
I didn't think you repeated anything.
Okay, yeah. I was mindful about that.
Listen to DDP on November 3. Listen to DDP on November 3.
Har jagah.
Oh. Har jagah.